whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Wonderful. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz from Eturbo News, and I'm here with Kiran, an Australian guy who lives in Saudi Arabia, and it's, I would say, involved in one of the most fabulous projects I can think for any Australian to be involved in Saudi Arabia. Let me ask you, before we get to the project, how did you get involved in this?
So, Jürgen, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to be with you. You're very right. I was born in Australia. However, I consider myself a true nomad, a true global citizen. I've had the great privilege of living and working all around the world, from Latin America to Asia, through the Middle East and Europe. And I'm such a huge fan of the Middle East and of the Gulf particularly. I have a lot of emotional connections and great Saudi friends, which I've always had since being a young boy. So Saudi is no stranger to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but I'm also no stranger to wonderful places like the Sultanate of Oman, the UAE, Bahrain, etc. So it was sort of a natural fit for me to come here to the Kingdom. The opportunity to help to change the way that the world perceives the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to initiate a huge component of this incredible transformation, and to do it via what I truly believe to be the greatest project around in existence today, which is Darayya, the City of Earth.
Yeah, in this city, and I have to say I have visited this city 3 years ago, and I'm sure it has progressed quite a bit after this.
Absolutely.
And it's a kind of an integrated part of Riyadh. So anyone who would travel to Riyadh can see Riyadh, I probably mispronounce it, but why would anyone want to go there? What is there to see, and tell us a little bit about it.
There are a lot of really interesting components of the Darayya master plan, Darayya, the City of Earth. The first part is to talk about its rich history, its heritage, into the archaeology, into the formation of the origin story of the birthplace of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So Darayya goes all the way back to the year 400, and it's the story of a tribe that settles, creates agricultural society, which is a very unique construct for a lot of people around the world to wrap their heads around, because they think that the entirety of Saudi Arabia is Bedouin in nature and nomadic. And so this is a very interesting story, because from this location, from this agricultural society, you ended up with the first Saudi state being formed, the identity of what makes Arabia Saudi Arabia. And this is very, very unique and very rich and very powerful. And from this location, we have a lot of historical components. We have a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which has recently welcomed more than 4 million visitors to the site. It's beautiful, it's rich. The architecture that you see, the way of life, and the suggestions around the formation of society, justice, education from that period in time. We're taking that, noting what it was then, what it could be far into the future, and we're amplifying that origin story, that authenticity, that nature of what it means to be Saudi, and we're using it as the formation of what we call the City of Earth, a 14.5 square kilometer project, which is everything from hotels, museums, restaurants, commercial office space, and it brings households in and around a pedestrian, walkable city environment that connects with downtown Riyadh. And so it's a very, very exciting location to come and visit. We've already started opening assets. We have our first dining districts, Bujeri Terrace, the second dining district, Zalal, our first hotel, which is in cooperation with the Marriott Luxury Collection. It's called Bab Samhan, which has been operational since the beginning of the year in January when it opened its doors. And shortly we'll have a whole new subset of hotels, because we have 34 hotels across the master plan, in excess of 40 museums, workshops, academies to come and see. We have 1.6 million square meters of commercial office space available, and we have 566,000 square meters of retail and food and beverage across this incredible master plan. It's anchored by really stunning icons. So you might come to Darayya next to be in the 20,000 seat arena, which is the Darayya Arena, or over the road from the Darayya Arena, the first Royal Opera House, which is in Darayya, and diagonally opposite that, the Saudi Arabian Museum of Contemporary Art. So there are a lot of iconic assets that are coming up as part of this master plan. We foresee that the first component of the master plan will be ready for people to inhabit their homes, their new homes, their office space, visit the retail and the food and beverage offerings, and that should be in full play by 2028, end of 2027 into the beginning of 2028, and the rest of the city will be delivered for 2030 in time to welcome the 50 million visitors we expect to come for the World Expo, which takes place 11 minutes away from Darayya by subway in 2030.
And you're talking about big numbers, and Saudi Arabia always has been talking about big numbers since it opened for tourism. How do you handle the traffic in an area?
So it is big numbers. One of the things that we've really focused on is the wayfinding and working in conjunction with the RCRC and the relevant other authorities to make sure that we have the best possible connectivity. In terms of air connectivity, you know we've got our friends from Riyadh Air here. Tony Douglas was yesterday doing a wonderful presentation on stage. The air connectivity is accelerating. In terms of our proposition, to give you an idea of the acceleration path for Darayya, when I started with the project, we had around about 20,000 people building on site. Today we're 55,000 people building on site. And so it's really coming together very, very quickly. The pedestrian nature of the first half of the Darayya City of Earth, the historic component of Darayya, really works hand in hand with the RCRC's metro deployment. So we have 4 metro stations underneath the pedestrian element of Darayya. There's a subterranean infrastructure where all car networks and gyratory systems arrive into Darayya underground, and there are 3 levels underground, 1.2 kilometers wide and 3.5 kilometers long, 45 meters deep. This allows and affords us to take all of this traffic underground. It's not meant to be lived underground, it's meant to be utilized underground. And then you come up into the master plan on ground level, and you are in harmony with nature. You're able to walk in a pedestrian environment with safety, without passing cars. Children can ride their bicycles and can enjoy a pedestrian environment.
So the entire area is pedestrian area?
From the master plan, the first component of the master plan which opens is the historic Darayya component. This is around about 35 to 40% of the master plan. That is entirely pedestrian.
Okay. And yeah, I heard His Excellency, the Minister of Tourism this morning, saying that the metro, and I haven't been on the metro.
Oh, you have to. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's fantastic because he said 20 million people have used it, and it was planned for 5 million. I don't have the exact numbers here.
What I can tell you is that it's so popular because the way in which the metro operates, it's so well thought out.
Right.
And the way in which it's being deployed and the multiple lines that they opened first as they continue to open more and more lines, we can already see that this is one of the great success stories of infrastructure projects in the kingdom.
It will be connected to the airport, you said?
It's connected to the airport. It's connected to the airport currently, but at the moment it's going to be opening a line directly through Darayya into the underground complex infrastructure and also above ground in Darayya. So we'll have 4 metro stations across the Darayya master plan.
And of course, other than that, I think what might be missing here is still the connection from the various stations into other parts of Riyadh.
The last mile.
The last mile, there is really no bus system I have seen. What can contribute it? There are a lot of taxis, Ubers all over the place, so it's not really a problem to get around here. One thing I noticed in Riyadh that many, if not most, of the hotels are part of a brand, such as Marriott probably dominating in a big way. There's also now 2 Hyatt branding hotels. There is, I'm staying at a Holiday Inn right now, so there is Interconti and 4 Seasons and several others. Are there also individual hotels that are not part of a chain?
Yes,
privately owned?
Absolutely. So firstly, across the entire master plans that we're responsible for, which is Darayya, the City of Earth, and Wadi Safar, we have more than 34 hotels that are part of this master plan. What we've already opened is the Bab Samhan Luxury Collection, but in a short amount of time, within the next sort of 16-month horizon window, we have an Oberoi, we have a Ritz-Carlton, we have a Capella. We've worked with Faina on doing a Faina, with Chedi on doing a Chedi, a Taj, six senses. So we're working with a multitude of different hotel operators.
If it's only luxury range.
No, it's not only luxury brands. It's a really great question, Jürgen, because the glue to society is being able to appeal to all walks of life,
Right.
all budget considerations. So we're also very, very proud. In the Darayya Master Plan, we have the more accessible hotels, such as Radisson Red. Another example I can give you is Moxie. And so those hotels are also part of the master plan. Unfortunately, what tends to happen more often than not is media like to err on the side of, let's call it vanity, and so it's easier to land a message about a St. Regis or about a Six Senses or about an Aman than it is to land a message about a Radisson or a Moxie. But they are very much part of this Darayya city because you need to have that glue for society to be able to operate and be able to prosper and be able to stay in all different budget considerations.
And tourism, of course, is a people business. Our organization, the World Tourism Network, we're all about SMEs in tourism.
Yes.
And we have 33,000 members in 133 countries. These are not the Marriotts, but these are sometimes family-owned operations and so forth. What is, of course, quite important. I understand that Airbnb is not yet in Saudi Arabia.
No, so the focus isn't to follow the path of an Airbnb model.
Right.
The focus for us as a developer is to try to bring the right businesses to the master plan, and SMEs are very important to us. Again, we have some examples of this in real life motion right now. We have an area which is called Samhania. It's directly by foot, it's 30 seconds away from our Bab Samhan hotel. You have fantastic local operators like our friend Mansour, who operates Samhania. You have small coffee shops, you have small overnight stay guest houses, and you have, like I said, all walks of life coming to Darayya and being able to find something that represents what it is that they seek in terms of travel or in terms of retail or in terms of food and beverage. And so we want to work with many of the SMEs that you have in your network. We welcome them to come and have conversations with us. In fact, the beautiful thing is, that is literally the reason why TOURISE, this event, exists. The real reason behind TOURISE is to say, if you take government in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and you connect it with private sector, how can that come to life? How can that come together? How can the networking be concluded? And how can things prosper from that? But the real game changer, again, this is under the vision of His Excellency Ahmed Al-Khatib, our Minister of Tourism, was how can we actually not just do this for government in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and private sector in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but what if we do this for governments around the world and private sector around the world, and we host it in Saudi Arabia? And so that's what you see taking place all around us.
It's a good concept. And I listened to His Excellency yesterday, and the concept of TOURISE is a different meeting concept. But it's in the making, it's going to be perfected probably very soon. And it's a good idea to bring people together to go, what I think it's one of the speeches yesterday, you come on a vacation and you go to a conference, and I've seen it. You don't really have to sit there and listen all the time and go out. You can meet people you may not be able to meet otherwise very easily, and it's a good concept. But going back to this development, what is quite fascinating, how do you see this fit in the tourism planning? Because Riyadh is emerging as a business city with conferences, with a lot of meetings. Many people come here to make money and spend money. And then you have the tourists who want to experience the culture. They should actually come to Riyadh. They shouldn't really go and stay in the middle of Riyadh, right?
So I think, firstly, although Darayya as a city proposition exists today with its own unique way and its own unique charm and vibrance, it's very much a part of Riyadh. And what you experience in Riyadh gives you a little bit more of that, let's call it New York City feel, that Melbourne feel. And Darayya is something just a little bit removed from that. You really feel like you're slowing down in a fast-paced world. And boy, oh boy, is Riyadh fast-paced. So I think we complement each other. That's another really extraordinary thing about the Saudi transformation and the vision of His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, that all of these projects seem somehow to be complementing each other and working together and not overlapping and not cannibalizing, but really serving each other as well by proximity and by the way in which they've been designed. And so we're very proud of how we work together with RCRC. I think there's such a compelling story because you must come to Riyadh, you must fly into the international airport, and you must come and spend at least 1 or maybe 2 nights in Darayya. But we would be the first people to tell you, after spending 1 or 2 nights in Darayya, you absolutely need to go and see our brothers and sisters in Al Ula, or in the Red Sea, or in Amala, or in Jeddah.
They're still working on it.
But I think the capacity, the conviction is there.
Right,
You can see that the intent is there. And you can see that very quickly, in a short amount of time, the kingdom has a wonderful ability to align. There's a huge amount of optimism around this alignment, and then to be able to deliver. And I think that we're going to see that connectivity arrive much, much sooner than we imagine.
And one of the things here in Saudi Arabia, what is still alive, is the connection with the people. If you read our publication, eTurbo News, search for the Chocolate Girl story. It's a story I wrote 3 years ago about this little girl who came up to me and offered me chocolate and was with her parents at a Starbucks. You don't find this, and you find a lot of young people at these various coffee places that are hanging out and having a great time. And you find cruising. If you stay at the Grand Hyatt, there's a lot of action all night. And my personal feeling, I don't know how you feel about it, living in Saudi Arabia, and I actually had a chance to relate this to His Excellency. I hope you're never going to legalize alcohol, because it's such a refreshing atmosphere when you go to these coffee shops and you see people here, young people, not completely wasted, really there and really having a good time.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about it?
Look, I'll tell you how I feel. First, no matter how many times I've been to Saudi Arabia in my life, when I relocated here with my 2 kids, my dachshund, and my wife, just over 4 years ago, the surprise for me was just how optimistic everybody is. You'll encounter somebody in the street. They truly believe that today is a beautiful day and tomorrow is going to be magnificent. Where in the world can you go right now, other than the kingdom, and encounter that time after time? You can't find it in many parts of the world. And so there's a huge amount of just widespread optimism here, which is so wonderful to be part of. And you're right, the coffee culture in Saudi is unlike anything else in the world. I would liken it to almost a high-end members club or a nightclub environment. You have these impeccably dressed young girls and boys lined up at 1 o'clock in the morning in downtown Riyadh, lined up to get into a coffee shop with a lady with a clipboard checking, should I let you into this coffee shop? But the coffee culture is rich and it's vibrant and it's boutique brands. You don't see recognizable known franchises in the coffee environment here. They don't do anywhere near as well as the local boutiques that are popped up to serve a particular section of the subculture. And that's rich and it's vibrant. It's very, very wonderful to see.
It is, and thank you so much for your time. I could talk to you for a few more hours. And I get really passionate when I talk about Saudi Arabia.
Wonderful.
I've been many times, and every time you come, it's like you experience something completely new in its core.
Totally.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that, Ewan.
Perfect. If you just get a link to the mic, I'll just decrease you.